Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good news Bible, and welcome to the madness that is the Charlie Marx Show. I'm Charlie Marx, and I always believe that you can make room for a bigger TV. A recent article in the Metro newspaper, actually a full page in the Metro newspaper, had a heading on it which read, "How to do better." This section was written towards the end of January, so we can assume that it was aimed at those who not only make resolutions, but break them shortly afterwards. I won't bore you with all the details, but here are a couple of points that stuck out. The first one was, save more. Now, I don't know about you, but I would think that in order to save more, one has to have more of the thing that one has to save. And when you don't have the more of the one you must have to save, this then becomes redundant. The next one was obviously a continuation of the very intelligent first one, being entitled Spend Less. So what we are doing now is adhering to this second resolution because we have none of the more that we could have been saving if we had had more of the more. Another one was pay down debts, which is what you're supposed to do when you take out a loan of more and sign up for this more with a lesser pencil. Obviously, people who give you a loan of more do not want you to pay back the more so they can add more to the more. Next piece of advice was start investing. Now, you will need much more of the more to invest, and if you don't have any more, then investing could be a problem. And finally, pay more into your pension. The more you pay in, the more you will have. But this does not matter because when you are no more, it will be left to your little more-ons. Food for thought. A quick reminder to please like, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications and follow the Charlie Marx Show. Also, please share as sharing is daring. You can also leave me a comment, or why not join the show by telling me what's bugging you in the world with the Devil's Advocate. I can also be spied upon by you visiting www.charliemarx.co.uk. So coming up on tonight's show, we have all the latest fake news from around the world and beyond with the CM Newsroom, Storytime with Sir Percival Homosexual reading a classic, and of course moans and groans and things that go irk in the night with the Devil's Advocate, plus lots more. But first, let's see if we can help someone in Viewer's Letter. Today's letter comes from Pope Jim IV. It reads, "Dear Mr. Charlie, after only 6 years of marriage to my wife Frank, the word divorce reared its ugly head. Sure, there have been infidelity, violence and cruelty, but I forgave myself for this, which is one of the main advantages of being a Catholic. I suspect that Frank is serious about the divorce as he has moved out, started a new relationship, put his claim on half the basilica and cut all my robes to knee length. Please advise me on this delicate matter. Yours sincerely, Pope Jim IV." Possibly with the exception of "you're too ill to be alive," when someone asks for a divorce, it is usually the most final thing you will ever hear. I'm sorry to hear that you're going through this, Jim, and although I could give you words of hope, it sounds as if Frank has indeed moved on. It should be a case of you keep the microwave, you paid for it, and a retort of no, you keep the microwave, it would kill me to think that you are going hungry. Sadly, this is rarely the case. It is usual for the partner wanting the divorce to raise this topic 5 minutes prior to you watching the final episode of that box set on Netflix you've been following religiously since the pilot, no pun intended. The advice I'm giving you is when it comes to possessions, you're probably going to lose them all, but try and hold on to your backbone. Not long ago, a friend of mine was asked by his wife for a divorce. He said he only wanted the important reminders of his marriage, things like his Xbox, his music and his clothes. His wife said she only wanted the practical things. He agreed to her saying this, as he didn't even know there were practical things in the house. It is important that you both get a lawyer, but try and make sure that it is not your newly qualified cousin Alvin, who mainly deals with accidents at work and gender misspelling cases. My final bit of advice would be most affected by a divorce would be the family. So you should take your responsibilities seriously and have his parents round every second weekend. I hope this helps. More next time. And now, let's see if Manfred the Psychic managed to get to work this time. Hello, my visitors to the other side. I am Manfred the Psychic, and together with my spirit guide, Bob, we shall gaze into the future. I have been asked by the many both listeners to this week read out your horoscopes. Are you there, Bob? Bob is here. Aries, you will be in a plane flying high in the Aries. Taurus, do not believe anything that leaves your lips, as Taurians are known for talking bull. Gemini, a surprise relationship will happen on Wednesday or Thursday or Friday or another day. But now that I've told you about it, it won't be much of a surprise. Cancer, you will get cancer. Leo, you will be eaten by a lion on Monday afternoon, Thursday the latest. Virgo, now would be a good time for you to put in that claim for the rebate on your virginity, because you might as well be alone with some cash. Libra, Saturn and Neptune are planets. Scorpio, cancel all plans just cancel all plans. Sagittarius, your aim this week is to connect with like-minded people, and there should be at least one bed free in the psychiatric ward. It might also be advised not to sing the Queen song, I'm Going Slightly Mad. Capricorn, even if you're offered the best thing you could ever imagine, refuse it, and then go home and ask yourself, why did I just refuse the best thing I was ever offered? Aquarius, you've had them for a month now, and it is time to buy that tank you have been promising your goldfish. Pisces, take an A3 square of card, half it with scissors, half it again, and continue until there is many bits of card. Then throw it up in the air and you will have many Pisces. Good night. Welcome back to the Charlie Marx Show, you human people, you. Lots more to come, but first, time for all the latest fake news from around the world and beyond with CM News. Good evening, and welcome to CM News with me, Princess Diana. Our top story this evening. Missing sheep from a field in Gloucestershire have had the village bamboozled. The owner of the sheep, a Miss Little Bo Peep, told police that she had lost them and didn't know where to find them. Police carried out a nationwide search but had to call it a halt as they were hungry. They then went to Mr. Boddington's cafe and were treated to lamb chops on the house. Top comedian and shortlisted nominee for the job of God, Ricky Gervais, has been cancelled after he made a knock-knock joke during his latest tour. A group of protesters identifying as Doors said Mr. Gervais has gone too far this time. Historians have revealed through rigorous research that although Helen Keller was deaf, dumb and blind, she could not play pinball. And finally, pop star Vladimir Putin's album Vlad You Made It has gone plastic, selling over 14 copies. He said he was delighted and looking forward to selling the remaining 6.5 million records he has in his lockup. And that was the headlines. This is Princess Diana for CM News. Good night. More from the CM Newsroom next time, but now my special guest. My guest this evening is one of the last surviving sheriffs in the Wild West. Ladies and gentlemen, live via satellite from the All Right Canal, Sheriff Jesse James. Welcome to the show, Jesse. How did you become the sheriff of the town?
Well, that is a fabulous question. I became the sheriff of the town because it was advertised in the local newspaper. I don't particularly read newspapers, but my mother, she saw the job, and I guess I was just hanging about coffee shops too much, and she decided that I should apply for it.
And do sheriffs still run the town?
Oh, you bet we do. Without the sheriff, there is no town. That would be ridiculous. Sure, we run. I run it in my own fashion, which I have my own fashion shop. It's just down there. But yeah, we run the place. We make it safe for people to come and visit.
In these small, lawless towns, it must be difficult to keep control of the bandits and gunslingers.
Are you kidding me? Well, they gave me this gun, okay, but I think it's kind of butch. So I went out and I bought myself a little gun. Now, it's good, it does the job. Okay, it doesn't really kill anybody, but who wants to kill people? Let's just be friends, But, listen, if I point that at you, and I turn around and I say, stop it. You're going to stop, aren't you?
Do you have your own horse?
No. No, I don't, because that didn't come with the job. But they gave me a pony. It's a lovely, lovely little pony. Beautiful pony. I call it Donald. Because it's kind of got blonde hair and it's fat.
There are always lots of wanted posters up around these western towns. Are you looking for any bandits or rustlers at this time?
Yeah, we can hear the rustlers. They're not a problem. They're usually in the bushes rustling. So we can hear them, and we usually just say, will you please come out? Will you come out of there?
And finally, it must be difficult being stuck in a small town alone. How does this go?
Oh no, because I've got friends here. My parents come up to visit. They come up to visit once a fortnight. And they stay in one of the local hotels, which is beautiful. And I think that there's so much to do. You come up here, and a lot of people think it's just dust in the ground, and I mean it is dust in the ground, but it's nice dust. It's very welcoming, and there's me and there's my assistant. There's Bucci Cassidy. And then there's my other assistant, so I never get lonely. His name's Sun Stomper. So we just have a ball, and we obviously keep the town safe for people. At the tavern, I call it a tavern. Other people call it something else, but at the tavern we have karaoke nights, we have all kinds of things, so you never get lonely.
Well, that's all we have time for. Join me next time for an interview not from the 1800s. But now it's time to slip into your pyjamas, get your cosy blanket, throw another weasel on the fire, and curl up on the sofa with a nice glass of wine as Sir Percival Homosexual reads a historical classic, Ivan the Not So Nice, in Storytime.
Hello, children. Today I'm going to read you a historical tale from history about the life of a very terrible man who started out life as a not-so-nice child. So, are you sitting uncomfortably? Then we'll begin. It was 1533, or probably closer to 3:45, in the cold city of Russia, and at the age of only 54, Vasily III died and was succeeded by his 3-year-old son, Ivan. Although he would grow up to become Ivan the Terrible, the first and most frightening Tsar of Russia, this is a story about his younger life when he was a child. Ivan the Not-So-Nice. At the time of Ivan's younger years, Russia was a cold place, where the only hot things around were the doughnuts sold by peasants on street corners and eaten predominantly by Russian police. Ivan's father was a Grand Prince of Russia, but at the weekends he enjoyed nothing more than pruning the hedges and planting bulbs in the garden. He was often seen at B&Q on a Sunday, buying his potted plants and having a fly smoke in the cafe. This was in happier times, when smoking was allowed in cafes. In 1480, Ivan's father took control of Novgorod, but soon gave up the city as he found that it was full of charity shops that charged too much. The young Ivan saw his father as a prince, but also saw his weaknesses. In the way he would sentence citizens to death for spitting on the pavement, but then let them off with a warning if they promised not to do it again. Ivan believed that ruling by fear would be the only way to rule Russia. Ivan's first day at school was the first time he had ever been apart from his mother, and when she left him, he fought back the tears, not wanting the other kids to see him crying like a baby. He soon made friends, and they met over the sandpit, where they would discuss control of Russia, taking Kazan and Astrakhan from the Tartars, and who would be in charge of the bucket and spade. Primary school was a good place for Ivan to get a band of ruthless fighters together for the start of his rule. But little Jimmy was not allowed to play with Ivan because his mother told him that Ivan was a bad influence. Ivan soon rectified this matter by sentencing Jimmy's mother to absolute death for the crime of wearing too much makeup. Jimmy then rejoined the group, and slowly they moved their control from commanding the sandpit to commandeering the painting corner. When the bell rang for playtime, Ivan was normally first out of class to ensure he was at the front line at the tuck shop, so he could buy his daily 2 packets of Skydiver crisps. On the occasion that he was ordered by the teacher to tidy up his toys before he left, he would instruct his next-in-command to get the crisps for him. Ivan swore revenge on every teacher who kept him back at playtime, and would soon have them burned for witchcraft or sent to Siberia to teach the lesser gifted children. Ivan banned all girls from playing with them during playtime, but soon lifted the ban when the boys made complaints about the game of kiss, cuddle and torture not being as good without girls. When they returned to the classroom, Ivan was shown to his seat by his subjects. This was when he had his milk brought to him. Should any subject bring him a warm milk, he would have them killed, and there was always a nervous tension when milk time came around. At lunchtime, Ivan took his packed lunch to the dinner hall and sat at the top of the table. The other children would volunteer their sweet treats for the fruit which Ivan's mother had packed for him the previous night, due to him becoming a little chunky. Nobody was allowed to burp or make any bodily noises whilst Ivan ate, and on one occasion when one boy was feeling sick, he was instructed to throw up in the hood of his duffel coat, so not to put Ivan off his sandwiches. Ivan was such a ruthless leader that he then instructed the ill boy to sit in the corner with his hood up. In the afternoon, the class would sit quietly in a circle with their legs crossed and their hands clasped, as the teacher read them a story. Ivan would often be heard whispering the end of the story to the child sitting next to him, just for spite. After their nap, they were told to go and make things in the craft corner. Ivan and his subjects got to work building weapons for their army. It was decided that those in the front line of battle should have 4 toilet roll tubes sellotaped together for a sword and a circle of cardboard cut out and decorated with glitter for a shield. This shield, of course, had a margarine tub stuck to the back of it for necessary handlement. Ivan's eye would be on the clock, waiting for time to show that the bell was going to ring and that he would be back in the arms of his loving mother. But should anyone dare even suggest Ivan was thinking this, he would wait for them in the playground and kill them to absolute death. The end.
And Sir Percival will be back next time with something probably just as gruesome. But now it's time for another roundup of moans and groans in The Devil's Advocate. If you were to name a famous Scotsman, you might think of Billy Connolly, Sean Connery, Gerard Butler, or James McAvoy. But if you were to name the most famous Scotsman, I'm pretty sure you would say either Robert Burns or Charlie Marx. More likely Robert Burns. So, is it not beyond any comprehension that Robert Burns should fail to play a significant role in the teaching of Scottish poetry? Well, surprise, surprise, the powers that be have done it again. Scotland's education chiefs have dropped the poems of Robert Burns as a main curriculum topic. So what's the logic behind this? Was it because he was a womanising man about town and is now seen as a misogynistic historical dinosaur who should be cancelled? Was it because he wore a tartan dress but refused to wear matching shoes? Or was it because nobody could understand him because he used made-up words? Well, the truth of the matter is, Mr. Burns is just plain out of fashion. Their plan is to introduce more modern, relevant, woke writers, which will mean that on the next Burns night we could very well be addressing the haggis as they, and Tam O'Shanter will be imprisoned for shouting "Well done, Cutty Sark" to the pretty dancing witch. I do agree with some of the points of bringing in new exciting topics and authors for children, but not at the expense of a man whose work survived hundreds of years until the politically correct got involved. Thank you for watching The Charlie Marx Show, and remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, share and follow me on www.charliemarx.co.uk. So, until next time, if you're not watching The Charlie Marx Show, you could be admitted to hospital with severe burns.